And welcome back. This is DJ Gamer providing another Clan War recap for Pot of Gold Clan. And we got another nail biter coming. It's been a lot of close ones lately. Here we go.
Alright, so our first featured battle here is from our number 11, Big Daddy, who's using his dragons to take on their number 11. Now, you'll notice this type of base is the kind where a lot of stuff's put on the outside, and there's just a core of a few things surrounded by a bunch of walls. Several bases from our opponent clan this time have this kind of setup, and a lot of us at the top actually had some problems with dealing with some of these bases, but as you'll see, Big Daddy did not have that problem. Fax handles the clan castle lure with the dragons there up top. And once that happens here, he gets the lightnings down on one of the air defenses in the center. And now with all that stuff spread out on the outside, we're all just hoping that he goes ahead and gets into the core where that other air defense is before it takes out too many dragons or something. Now he goes ahead and spreads out the dragons a little bit, but you'll notice he makes sure to kind of get at the corners some first. That way the dragons are far more likely to funnel their way in toward the center once the rest of the stuff is taken care of on the outside, rather than trying to travel in some kind of a circle around the outside of the base, allowing whatever's in the core to do its attacking. So also you'll see that he still has his clan castle troops and some hog riders as well in there to go ahead and head toward that air defense, but he's just waiting on making sure some other things get cleaned up here before he puts those guys at risk. As you see, he goes ahead and puts out those hogs there, and they head for the mortar first, but now with the rest of these nearby defenses being taken out, they will next head toward the center air defense, which isn't really going to do anything to harm them. And a couple more hogs from the clan castle there go ahead and take care of some of the rest of those defenses and help out the dragons. So yeah, at this point we're looking at a 3-star victory here, and I believe it was the first one in the war. So with this particular battle here being finished at the time, that bumped up our score to 10-0. But since we were going up against the Malaysian clan, the time zone difference meant that score was kind of superfluous at this point. Eventually they do end up getting, more competitive and closing up the score. So congratulations to Big Daddy there on another successful dragon raid. Good job. Alright, for our next attack we have number 6 Bill Ganks going up against his mirror. And of course, as you can probably assume, he's going to do a good job. Ganks always really does a good job on offense for us. Starts off with the poison spell here to go ahead and get rid of the clan castle troops, a level 4 and a level 2. Now at this point I did want to mention that the score at the time was 19-9. Basically, since Big Daddy's battle, they had matched his points for points on the scoreboard. So at this point we're just looking to extend the lead some further. The dragon gets taken out due to the residual damage of poison. And now what I thought was kind of probably what I wouldn't have suggested, but still worked anyway, is that he puts the kill squad in the side that was opposite of the Archer Queen. And usually the best side to go ahead and do that would be where the Archer Queen is. That way, in this case, the Archer Queen going after the Hog Riders kind of, puts them in danger even more. And they don't really go after her so much. They're just kind of ignoring her while going for the other defenses. So he does put in a second squad of Hog Riders in toward the southeastern end and keeps them going. Definitely made sure to compensate for any giant bomb placements that were there just in time. And so on the right side of the base, the defenses are getting taken out pretty quickly, and that just leaves room for them to go ahead and move over toward the left. And hopefully the last heal spell he uses does its job. He puts it over on the far right because there's still a little work to do. And at this point, there's only 2 defenses left to go, so as long as the Hog Riders can get them before the the Archer Queen does, and his Archer Queen helps out with that, so that's not a problem anymore. Then the last Hog Rider or 2 there goes ahead and takes out that cannon. And meanwhile, the heroes and the couple of wizards that are left over in there just go ahead and start getting rid of the town hall and other bases. And as you can see, it is pretty handled at this point, just another minute or so worth of battle time. And he goes ahead and takes out his mirror for a 3-star attack. That's a pretty good job, and that puts the score at the time to 22-9 in our favor. So I do want to also mention that our opponent clan was in Malaysia, so they weren't all warring at this time. They were tending to use their attacks later on. Alright, so now we have another attack I'm pretty impressed with. This is our number 3 Taiga going ahead with a Go Hog attack. And this one's going to be pretty cool. At this point, we were kind of struggling to get their top bases, and you'll see kind of why in a little bit on the next replay, actually. But Taiga goes ahead, does the traditional double poison spell now to go ahead and take out the clan castle troops in there. And while we're waiting on that, you'll notice that hopefully the Archer Queen steps in a little bit, takes a little bit of damage, although not too significantly. Poison spells aren't meant to damage heroes that much. So yeah, at this point, now that the dragon's taken care of, the golem comes in here at the bottom. Another golem from the clan castle. And then the wizards start working their way while they're being somewhat protected. Barbarian King takes on the other Barbarian King in a nice little duel there, and takes him up pretty handily with the wizard's help and the Archer Queen's help. And so with all that being done, the heroes are taken care of. The Hog Riders this time are being put in right behind the other troops. So there's a little bit of overlap in who's attacking who here from those defenses. They're just kind of, split on who they're supposed to be getting. So Hog Riders keep going. They ended up trending in the same direction, so that kind of helped with the heal spell being useful. Because, if they had split up any more than that, chances are this kind of almost would have been a disastrous attack. Again, enough coverage for the heal spell and the giant bomb. They seem to overlap a lot there. So when I saw that, I got a little worried. Usually when the heal spells have to overlap that much and you don't have as much coverage on the rest of the base, that last quarter of defenses or so to go, sometimes that can put the Hog Riders in trouble. But really at this point, there's no giant bombs to worry about for the Hog Riders on this end, at least until the defenses are all done. And there's still enough of them that they're going to definitely make sure that these last couple of defenses are beaten. In the meantime, the golem's distracting the last wizard tower. The heroes are making their way around with the other wizards, so there's definitely some cleanup action there. And additionally, there's still 5 more archers that Taiga wisely saved up for cleanup troops. So between all that and the Hog Riders getting in there, you see this one other Hog Rider taking the last giant bomb, but not enough to break it while it's breaking the town hall. So with that, the hero's also nearly at full health, so it's nice to not have to have that recharge time in between war battles. So that's another great shot. I was pretty happy about that one, and it was the top base that we 3-starred in the war. Alright, so now with Taiga's victory, that put the score at 27-15. By the time our guest fighter Chris comes in, he's actually from another clan I'll mention in a little bit here. The score up to this point is 31-28. The other team had been getting more of their attacks in and been closing the gap on us. Now you see with this kind of base that we have here, their number 1, their number 2, and their number 4 here all had this sort of same layout where there was a core of like Expos and the heroes and a couple of wizard towers maybe. But everything else is on the outside, and so they're making you work to get all the outside stuff and work around. And then if you're lucky, you'll get to jump in there and get the stuff in the core. Well, I basically fell victim to that versus their top 2 bases that had the similar layout. So I got a lot of damage done, but I only got 1 star in each of those. Up to this point, we'd only had 1 star in this base as well. It was looking kind of bleak as far as getting stars on the top. But this time, Chris ended up changing up which kind of armies we were trying to use against those bases and went ahead with Go Wipe with some witches as well. And so they were definitely cleaning up on the outside. The Expos didn't quite reach enough past their walls in order to do a whole lot of damage until later. And as you'll see in a little bit, the Archer Queen will come in here and start hitting these inside corners here, just getting enough damage in to be able to attack a couple of those defenses before they had to be addressed a little later on. So that helped take some of the pressure off when it came into getting back into the core at the end. So as you can see on both sides of the battle, witches, wizards, P.E.K.K.A.s, the Barbarian King, and the golems are still getting things taken care of. Chris did a really good job as far as adjusting what type of party we were trying to beat these bases with. So while this is finishing up, I do want to mention that Chris came to us from a clan that I was actually in before called Bendecos, and I'll make sure to include their clan tag in there because they're a pretty serious war clan that gets good results. So now with the jump spell here, that's going to allow these remaining troops to get inside and go ahead and get to those last few defenses and the town hall. Definitely a lot of tanky troops are still there to be able to take the heat from those remaining defenses and make sure that the wizards and the remaining witches are protected so that they can do their damage. And so cleanup ends up going pretty quickly here at the end, going from a 95% 1-star to a 3-star attack within about 15 seconds there. And So yeah, he didn't even have to use his ability till the end. He still had one archer left that he didn't use. I was like, oh, you had to leave that guy out, huh? What's up? So that one gives us another 3-star victory, and it puts the score up to 34-28. Now, things are going to get closer as the war goes along here, and we'll see how it ends up here pretty shortly. But first, I want to go ahead and show you a couple of defensive wins for us. Okay, so this is our Bill Ganks again. This time he's on defense. Now, what happened here is you'll notice that he's going to end up having to fight a typical Town Hall 7 type of party. These dragons are level 2, yet this person is an archer queen, which makes me think that they rush some of their offensive troops. So they do try to bring in this kind of a kill squad thing here with the heroes, but with little else other than level 2 dragons to fight, fighting a base that has like 3 air defenses is challenging enough. Now, it just so happens that Bill Ganks hasn't gotten his 4th air defense for Town Hall 9 yet, but the other ones are upgraded to level 7. And so that's just all the more difficult on level 2 dragons, let alone level 3 or level 4 dragons, to be able to get a victory out of this one. So I thought it was a poor choice of strategy on the opponent's part, and this was the point in the war where they started actually doing this more, using pretty inferior armies or strategies against our bases. So it ended up alleviating my worry that we were going to end up losing the war by just a couple of stars on account of the these poor selections being made. And we ended up seeing some replays or some battles of them that they didn't end up gaining very many stars on. And so the gap between us and them in terms of star count ended up staying pretty close, as well as the total destruction. So on that note, you're going to see they're not going to get much farther here. This one last dragon manages to, or 2 dragons here, manages to not die for a little while. But they're going to get stuck. No stars come out of this battle. It's a 49% loss here. No new stars for them, and it started a little bit of a trend where they started aiming higher with some of these attacks. They weren't using very strong armies or very wise armies, and that kept us from actually being beaten. So again, they're going to go after Bill Ganks here, and they're getting cocky with these dragons. Like this time, they don't even have an archer queen to back them up, and only a level 1 barbarian king, so this is even worse off than before. To top that off, their lightning spells are only level 3, so as you see, this air defense is gonna stay. It's not gonna be destroyed right away by the lightnings, and that's just gonna make it all the more difficult on these dragons. So it was unbelievable to me when I started seeing these battles here, either live or on the replays, thinking, I mean, do these people win wars like this? I mean, what's the deal? Because clearly, they're not really gaining much out of this, especially when their number 10 is moving up 4 spots to attack, and at this point, their number 10 had lower bases that they could stand to gain stars from. So, yeah, pretty confusing to me why they chose this, path of strategy here, because it really didn't end up getting them anything. In fact, this battle also ends up with just under 50% damage. Additionally, the Clan Castle Dragon that we had there didn't get addressed, so yeah, it was kind of perplexing as to why they would do this when the control of winning the war was actually in their hands at this point. Alright, so now at this point, this is the last battle of the war. This is our co-leader Kai coming in to clean up number 9, which at the moment had only 1 star against it. Now goes ahead with the Clan Castle Lord here with a couple of hogs. Then he's going to apply the poison spells. So yeah, at this point we knew that we had the tiebreaker advantage. There was no way statistically that they were going to be able to get it with the 1 attack they had remaining. Because it was a lower base that had that attack and they couldn't clean up certainly any higher up. But even still, if we hadn't scored any stars here on this base, we still would have had the war win by at least a close margin. But we knew it was a sure thing. So at this point, he's kind of got a little bit of delay on the poison spells here. So I was kind of confused by that. I was just really hoping that he didn't lose his internet connection at this point. But then he dropped some poison spells, and that kept me from worrying. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and wait on this here. So I do want to make a point that, again, this was a tie score here. And also, we had won 7 out of our last 9 more, so we were looking to pull off another close one here to make it a win of number 8 out of our last 10. Now here's one mistake Kai does make. By not getting the balloon and by bunching up the wizards, when the balloon died, it causes that extra splash damage on the troops at the bottom, so all of his wizards got taken out. I saw that and I was like, uh-oh. However, since he's fighting 1 town hall level lower than he normally does, he's got 4 P.E.K.K.A.s and 4 witches to help take care of things. So he brings in his heroes, which are both level 6. A few Hog Riders are still there, and he puts in a couple of spells to get these troops moving in just the right direction to get in the core. So as long as the Barbarian King and the P.E.K.K.A.s and the Golem were going to be able to hold on to things and keep the witches protected, then they were going to have a handle on this. And as well, yeah, it was just about the right amount of divide and conquer here on this base, especially given that the wizards were all taken out so quickly initially. And yeah, as I'm watching this along, it's getting closer and closer to the end. I'm thinking, yeah, I think we've got this now. And at the same time, I'm thinking the war was all but certainly won at this point. But certainly, Kai cemented this victory and got 2 more stars out of this base and getting us the win here. So I'm going to speed up a little bit here toward the end. As you can see, the heroes are just about near taken out, but there are no more defenses around them at this point, so they're going to finish some cleanup damage and make sure that the slower P.E.K.K.A.s and witches don't end up losing out on time. One more thing to take note of here is that one thing that does help is when you have those builder huts at the far edge of the corners, it helps to save a couple of maybe archers to spare for those at the very end, because it helps make up some time in case you really need it. So definitely congratulations to Kai on that battle. He got us the guaranteed victory, and we ended up winning. So yeah, with this we get a 38-36 victory. Yeah, Chris there on defense as well, only got 1 star on that one. Well, normally I was thinking, yeah, I'm the one that's going to get 1 star, but yeah, he did a great job all around too.
Alright, so at this point I'd like to go ahead and wrap some things up here. I'd like to put out some clan tags here to refer you to if you're looking for a good war clan to play with. Also, don't forget to visit Duck Koala's channel for some more PoG coverage, and he's got some coverage on some other games that's pretty fun to watch.